This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Saturday, December the 18th, one of 5 stakes races, 4 graded at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. Here's the field for the Grade 2 Fort Lauderdale. We're going 1 1/8 on the turf. $200,000 is the purse, carded as race number 10. You can download free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Access them, handicap along with us, and play this stakes-laden card at Gulfstream Park with your DRF Bets account. Chad Brown has the 2 L'Imperator, the 8 Analyze It, and interestingly enough, Mike, he offered both of these horses for the tag last time.
Yeah, true. I mean, listen, I think they're both pretty good. Overall, this is I guess I would say it's a solid field. I thought, more than anything else, Dan, it's kind of filled with horses who, looked like at one point in their careers, they could be really good. And I don't think any of them necessarily panned out.
Timeform US believes that the pace is going to be fast as we throw up the projector. I'm curious as to your opinion. I think it has to be fast. Analyze It has shown speed. King Guillermo, when he wants to be, is fast. When you have a horse like Atone, a horse that has shown gate speed, 6th on your pace projector, they're going to be going early, aren't they?
I mean, I feel like there could be a good pace in this race. I guess it does sort of depend on those 2 horses they have up front, though, Dan. I mean, King Guillermo used to be really fast. I guess he still is. I'm assuming he goes as they, switch back to turf and try to figure this horse out, Analyze It. I mean, I guess he just has to go. I mean, I think it's at least worth pointing out that his race last time, he just got loose on a relatively soft pace, but he is a pretty fast horse.
Doswell is the one that's 6th on the pace projector. Just consider his last 2 victories have come in gate-to-wire fashion. He was 2nd in this race last year, Mike. I thought he worked out a good trip saving ground that day, got steady just a little bit on the turn, but did get the run of the rail in the stretch, finished okay. Do you agree that this race might be a little bit tougher than last year's Fort Lauderdale?
I think it might be tougher. It's also, I think more than anything else, though, Dan, this is a horse who I just feel like his last 2 races aren't that good. I mean, he's about to turn 7. He's only run 11 times. Obviously, this horse has some issues. He came back off of a long layoff too back at Belmont Park. I didn't think he ran well at all that day with a pretty good trip. I mean, I guess he did a little better last time, but he still got a really nice trip in that race, and he was just no match for L'Imperator, who's back in here.
But it is nice to see him back with at least 3 races off a layoff without another layoff line, because as you mentioned, Mike, it's been the story of his career. He's going to turn 7. He only has 11 lifetime starts. Maybe he's racing himself back into shape. Let's watch Doswell chase L'Imperator last time out at Aqueduct. You're going to see Doswell is going to be down inside the number 4, and you're going to see L'Imperator, a horse that was offered for the $80,000, basically worked out a 3-wide trip, comfortably handled turning into the stretch, and there really wasn't any problems with him winning this race with a 96 buyer speed figure. You see Doswell get off the rail for 3rd. Is this a horse who is a graded stakes horse? He looks really good in these optional claiming races. He was the beaten favorite in the Baruch. Maybe you want to give him the yielding track excuse. He's going to take some money in here, and he's got to prove it against good horses.
Yeah, that is the real question to me, especially when you consider he's probably going to be one of the favorites in this race. He ran fine last time off of a good trip. His win off the layoff at Saratoga, another optional claiming race, ran really well that day, I thought. Listen, I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for the Baruch. It was yielding turf. It was a really slow pace. And I actually felt like he ran okay. His race 2 back wasn't good at all, though. That was a competitive pace in front of him. He got a clean run into it. He was no match for stakes horses that day.
Now, on the face of it, you would think that the 3 breaking the rules is your typical Shug McGahee horse, just a late bloomer that's getting better with maturity and distance. I'm not sure that's the case with breaking the rules. I wonder if his best races are slightly behind him. I know he won off the layoff at Saratoga, but you don't get a better pace setup and trip than that, a red-hot pace, and he was able to save ground. His 2 subsequent races were,
Yeah, that's how I feel about him, too. I mean, I just sort of lost faith in this horse. I was pretty high on him when Shug first switched him over to turf. I want to say that was maybe back at the end of 2018. I think it was a while ago, Dan. I just don't think he ever, really turned out to be as good as I thought he was going to be. He's run some good races. The figures say he's a major player in here. I'm tired of this horse.
English B, the number 4, is the kind of horse that can adapt to any kind of pace scenario. In the past, He was able to parlay some good trips into some big wins, like that Virginia Derby back in 2019, and then the Parks race the following start. He did win 2 starts back at Colonial. He was all out to beat optional claimers at Colonial Downs. I'm not sure that was a strong field, and I don't know. I didn't love his last race at Keeneland.
I didn't either. I mean, I just don't really see the race that makes me want to bet him in here. I realize that he's going to be a big price. He has run okay in some graded stakes races in the past, so maybe he's just the kind of horse that at a big price you don't just want to totally overlook him. I'm just not that big a fan of his.
Sole Volante and King Guillermo, their careers have been intertwined. King Guillermo beat Sole Volante in the Tampa Bay Derby. Sole Volante is a graded stakes winner on dirt. He is a stakes winner on turf. I wonder if he's taken the necessary step forward as a 4-year-old. It just doesn't seem that way right now, and this is a good field.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if the pace is fast. I suppose if the pace projector is right, Dan, and they go fast, it's going to help this horse because he just wants to sit and make one run. I was actually pretty excited towards the end of last year when they finally brought this horse back to the turf. I thought that's kind of what he'd been waiting for. It hasn't really worked out. I mean, maybe it was just too late at that point. They've run him on turf 4 times in the last year, and I don't really like any of those performances.
I've always been a big fan of 9-time winner Renaissance Frolic. I don't think he's really a graded stakes horse. He likes Gulfstream. I think he's one of those sort of listed stakes horses at his best, sort of the Mr. Steele stakes of 2 starts back where he was a winner. They ran him at Kentucky Downs last time out, and all in all, that's probably the best he can do against that field.
Probably. I mean, I'm trying not to get too tied up in those Kentucky Downs races because you never know what happens on those races. But and I will just say that was a race that most recent one. They had a pretty competitive pace going on in there, and he was close to it. So, I don't want to be too hard on him for it, Dan. I think this is probably a tough spot for him. On the other hand, he's the kind of horse that I just kind of want to keep an open mind about because he's going to be a big price. He likes this turf course, and he's very versatile. He could actually find himself in a good trip here.
Here's the Michael Maker off the claim. It seems we get one of these in every graded stakes race, and you are never surprised when they step up and run well. Media Blitz was 3rd last time at Del Mar for a $100,000 tag. Maker dipped in and took him. Owner Michael Maker, trainer Michael Maker. He must like this horse, and this horse has a couple of back races, not against the graded types. That hasn't worked out, but against optional claiming horses, he's going to have to prove it against stakes horses like several others.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be about the least surprising thing to see Maker get this horse to take a little step forward here. And I do like the longer distances for him. I feel like he is the kind of horse, 1.125 and up is probably what he wants. So he gets that here. I didn't think he ran great last time, Dan, but boy, did he bump into a pretty sharp horse there and Red Storm Risen, who just cleared off on the lead in there and never gave that field a chance.
Let's watch Analyze its last race for Chad. It was nice to see him get back to the winner's circle for the first time this year, but he just had everything his own way, as Mike mentioned early on. It's a short field. He got loose on the lead, and he sprints home at his favorite distance of a mile. While he has run well at 1.25 miles and at 1.125 miles, Chad has been really interested in keeping him to a mile. I think he is a pure miler. He began his career like he'd be any kind of horse, Mike. He won his first 3 starts, narrow second in his next 3, third in the Breeders' Cup Mile in 2018, and then Chad's just had a whale of a time keeping him sound. He's fast. He's in form. I'm worried about the 9 if he has to go quick early.
I'm worried about all those things too, and it's not like he's the kind of horse who's going to be some kind of great price in this race. And so that just kind of sent me, looking for other horses in here. I'm actually still a fan of his. He's one of those horses I was sort of alluding to earlier, Dan. I just don't think he ever really panned out off of what looked like unlimited potential. He got loose last time. I thought his race 2 back was actually better. The one at Saratoga. That pace was pretty solid when he got run down.
King Guillermo, the number 9, personally, I think he's a little bit dirtied up. I just hate his running style for this race. He did some good things on the turf earlier in his career. Then he won the Tampa Bay Derby. Then he won the Arkansas Derby. And then it was just tough start after tough start after tough start. Cigar Mile, San Pasqual, Big Cap. Finally, the layoff. He comes back. I think he gets a good fitness builder in that one-turn dirt mile. I have no problems with him getting back to turf. I do worry about the setup.
Yeah, me too. Especially, listen, if he's going to be 30-1, I won't knock him because he's another horse who I actually liked his 2 turf races early on. So I'm kind of interested to see him come back to the surface and see what happens. Those 3 races last winter, I just feel like you have to try not to be too hard. He didn't run well in any of them, but you got to try not to be too hard on him for those races. He didn't run that well last time either. I don't know what he can do here, Dan. At a big price, if you like him, I guess you should just bet him.
Here's another maker special, the 10 Order in Law, taken by the great trainer for $80,000. He's run him twice since then, and he got him a stakes placing at a big price. First time blinkers last time out at Santa Anita. Let's watch that race. It's the restricted lure, and we're going to see Order in Law. He's kind of over up and behind horses, but he is going to get to the outside, and he's going to come with a good solid kick. I have a feeling that Maker knows this horse, wants a little bit more distance, and I do like the way he's finishing this race off, Mike. There just didn't seem to be a ton of pace up front for him to run at.
Yeah, I like this performance a lot from this horse. There was no pace in this race. They walked on the lead in here. His rider just sort of sat in behind. It took him a while to get clear in the stretch, and I like the way that he finished in there. He was gaining on a pretty good horse there in Neptune Storm, and he was doing it through, one of the fastest quarters of the race as well. I don't know. I like that performance last time. He's one of those horses who it feels like can be a little forward, but doesn't need the lead. He's probably going to go a little bit overlooked in this race, and I think he has some upside.
Here's another maker-trained runner, the in-form number 11, Atone. He's won 2 of his last 3 starts, including this good trip performance at Aqueduct on November the 21st. He was a little wide going into the first turn, but then he settled very nicely on the backstretch off of the leader. And let's count how many times he changes leads in the stretch. It must have been 4, and it didn't matter. He was dominant.
Yeah, he was pretty sharp in this race. I mean, we could have taken this replay from the start, Dan, and it always looked like he was going to win this race. It's not a very good field. That was the one, sort of thing that held me back on this horse. I don't think he beat a good field that day. His prior 2 races, I thought they were okay. When he won at Saratoga on yielding turf, I just felt like he was the horse who sort of worked out the right trip. There were a couple others in there who I don't think things went as well for, and it wound up costing them. He did run well last time. I just don't like the field that he beat.
Space Traveler has a lousy post position, but with his running style, I'm assuming Tyler Gaffalione is just going to break and try to tuck in near the back of the pack and make one run and depend on this horse's class, because he is getting class relief, dropping out of 3 grade 1s. He was second in the Woodbine Mile 2 starts back, and he's a legitimate grade 2, grade 3 Euro that fits very well with these kind of horses.
Yeah, all those things are true. We'll see what kind of price he goes off at. I assume he's going to be one of the favorites in here, Dan. To me, he's a horse who I think, in my opinion anyway, he looks better on paper than he actually is. That's just my opinion. I'll give him a pass for the Mr. D because I don't think he wants to go 1.25 miles. He ran okay in those 2 grade 1s in his last 2 starts. I didn't think he did anything special in those races. I didn't think he had some kind of huge excuse either time. Either. So I don't know if he was going to be one of the favorites. I just don't want him in here, especially from post 12, but he could win.
And like Analyze It, 1 1/8 might be pushing it just a little bit for him. You'll notice in his 3 North American starts, he was big prices. 3-1 does seem light, especially from this post. Brown Storm is also eligible. So we're going to take a look at our top selections for the grade 2 Fort Lauderdale. I like the way L'Imperator won that race. He did get a good trip. It kind of bothered me that Chad offered him up for 80. You and I could have had him. You wanted the Tesla instead. I guess I understand that. Order in Law is 20-1 on the morning line. It's maker magic, and it wouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted someone outside of the short prices in this race. That I don't want a short price on anyone in here. I feel like this horse is going to be a price, and I like this last race.
10, 11, 2, and 12 for Mike. 2, 8, 1, and 12 for me. It's the Saturday race of the day, the grade 2 Fort Lauderdale. Good luck.